5 easy ways seniors can lower blood pressure with food, doctor explains. Last year, a deeply concerning case landed on my operating table, a scenario that, unfortunately, I've seen unfold countless times throughout my career as a cardiac surgeon. The patient was a 67-year-old man, and as I opened his chest, the reality of his condition was starkly evident. His arteries, vital conduits, meant to be supple and resilient, had become rigid, resembling nothing so much as hardened concrete pipes. This man was not someone who had neglected his health or lived carelessly, quite the contrary. He was diligent, compliant, and under the care of multiple physicians, yet he was taking 4 different blood pressure medications daily, and despite this aggressive pharmacological intervention, his blood pressure remained stubbornly and dangerously high. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't ignoring medical advice. He was doing everything, absolutely everything, his doctors had instructed him to do, meticulously following every prescription and recommendation. And yet, there he was, lying on my operating table, facing the severe consequences of a system that, for all its advancements, had left him wanting. But here's the critical piece of information that no one had ever conveyed to him, a truth that I am compelled to share with you today because it holds the key to a profound yet remarkably simple transformation. The answer to his predicament, the very solution to reversing years of arterial damage and dangerous hypertension, wasn't hidden in some cutting-edge pharmaceutical lab or complex medical procedure. It was sitting right there, unassumingly, in his very own kitchen the entire time. We're talking about 5 simple, accessible things. No new prescriptions, which often come laden with uncomfortable side effects, were needed. Instead, the intervention was rooted in something far more fundamental and intrinsically powerful: food. Food, working precisely the way it was always intended to work within the human body as a source of healing, regulation, and vitality. I urge you to stay with me through this explanation, because by the time you reach the end of this discussion, you will possess the exact knowledge and practical steps needed to begin taking control of your blood pressure starting tonight. Let me illuminate a physiological reality that isn't always thoroughly explained in the often rushed environment of a doctor's office. After the age of 60, the increase in your blood pressure isn't simply a consequence of daily stress or an excessive intake of dietary salt, though these factors certainly play their part. Something far more fundamental and insidious begins to manifest deep within the intricate architecture of your arteries. To truly grasp this, I invite you to envision your blood vessels not as static tubes, but as dynamic living structures, much like a flexible garden hose. When you are young, that hose is remarkably pliable and elastic. It stretches effortlessly with each surge of blood, absorbing pressure fluctuations with ease, adapting to the demands of the circulatory flow. However, as the natural process of aging advances, the delicate walls of those vessels, particularly the arteries, gradually begin to stiffen. They inexorably lose their inherent elasticity, their capacity to expand and contract responsively. A rigid, inflexible hose, as you can imagine, simply cannot accommodate the same internal pressure as a flexible one without incurring damage or resistance. It's precisely at this juncture, when arterial walls lose their youthful compliance, that the cascade of problems leading to hypertension truly begins. The impact of this phenomenon is intensely personal for me. For 3 decades, I have dedicated my life to the intricate art and science of cardiac surgery. I've held human hearts, pulsating with life and sometimes ravaged by disease, directly in my hands. I've meticulously repaired arteries that, upon inspection, appeared to belong to someone 20 years older than the patient lying on my table. And with every single incision, every careful suture, every glimpse into the internal landscape of a human chest, I have asked myself the same profound and often haunting question: how did it get this far? How did this vital system, designed for resilience, become so compromised? The answer, discovered through years of clinical experience and confirmed by overwhelming scientific evidence, more often than not, boils down to a single, pervasive culprit: inflammation. We are not talking about the acute, noticeable inflammation you might experience from a sprained ankle or a sudden infection, where pain, swelling, and redness signal immediate attention. Instead, we're referring to a chronic, silent, slow-burning type of inflammation that insidiously smolders within the delicate inner lining of the blood vessel walls. This silent aggressor doesn't produce any obvious symptoms. You don't feel it. You don't perceive its subtle, destructive work. Yet, day after day, week after week, year after year, it quietly and relentlessly stiffens and narrows those crucial vessels. As the arterial pathways become increasingly constricted and rigid, your heart, the tireless pump of your circulatory system, is forced to labor harder and harder, struggling against mounting resistance just to propel blood through your body. This sustained overexertion leads directly to elevated blood pressure and a host of other cardiovascular complications. So, why does food, the very sustenance we consume multiple times a day, matter so profoundly in this intricate biological drama? It matters because every single thing you choose to eat, 3 times a day, every single day of your life, is making a pivotal decision for your body. It is either actively fighting that chronic inflammation, or it is unwittingly feeding it, exacerbating its destructive effects. Every meal, every snack, presents an opportunity and a choice that directly influences the health and flexibility of your blood vessels, and consequently, your blood pressure. Most people, understandably, don't realize the depth of this connection because their doctors, constrained by time and the demands of a busy practice, don't always have the opportunity to explain it in such detail. That, precisely, is the overarching purpose of this video. It is emphatically not about replacing your medication. I want to be incredibly clear on that point, as your prescribed medications are crucial and should not be altered without professional medical guidance. Rather, this information is designed to empower your body with 5 powerful natural tools that work synergistically alongside whatever your doctor has already prescribed. These are tools that, in countless cases I have witnessed, have made a dramatic, measurable difference in patients' health, sometimes manifesting within a matter of days. Are you ready to discover these simple yet profound strategies? Let's begin. Here's a fundamental question for you, one that highlights a common dietary habit many of us share. When you sit down for dinner tonight, what is the very first thing you typically reach for on your plate? If you are like the vast majority of people, your hand instinctively gravitates towards the bread, the mashed potatoes, the pasta, or perhaps just a convenient bite of whatever carbohydrate-rich food is closest to you. I want to encourage you to try something profoundly different, something that might sound almost too simplistic, too elementary to be truly effective. But I assure you, its impact is anything but trivial. The strategy is this: eat your vegetables first. Before you touch anything else on that plate, before the starches, before the proteins, make a conscious effort to consume your vegetables. Every single meal. Now, I can almost hear the thought forming in your mind. That's it? That's your big secret? I understand the initial skepticism, but please, hear me out, because the science behind this seemingly minor adjustment is incredibly powerful. When you prioritize eating vegetables first, the rich bounty of dietary fiber contained within those vegetables performs a remarkable function in your stomach. It forms a kind of physical mesh, an internal barrier that lines the stomach walls. And what this fibrous barrier accomplishes is truly extraordinary. It dramatically slows down the rate at which sugar from the subsequent, more carbohydrate-heavy parts of your meal enters your bloodstream. Why, you might ask, does this specific mechanism matter so critically for your blood pressure? The answer lies in the body's physiological response to rapid sugar influx. Every single time your blood sugar spikes sharply after a meal, a common occurrence when carbohydrates are consumed first, your pancreas is compelled to release a flood of insulin to bring those sugar levels down. And that sudden, pronounced insulin surge, while necessary for glucose regulation, has an unfortunate side effect. It causes your blood vessels to constrict, to tighten. Right there at your dinner table, without you even realizing it, your blood pressure is momentarily, yet consistently, going up. I have personally observed patients who made no other changes to their diet or lifestyle, same food choices, same portion sizes, even the same medications, except for the order in which they ate their meal. They simply adopted the sequence of vegetables first, followed by protein, and then carbohydrates last. And the results were compelling. Their post-meal blood pressure readings dropped noticeably and consistently within as little as 2 weeks. One of my patients, a retired teacher in her early 70s, vividly described it as the easiest thing I've ever done for my health. And she wasn't wrong. So, starting tonight, before you even consider reaching for that rice or that slice of bread, make a deliberate choice to finish those green, leafy, or colorful grains first. Every bite truly counts towards a healthier circulatory system. Now, let's turn our attention to something that might already be sitting in your pantry, possibly overlooked for years, doing nothing, yet holding immense potential. We are talking about apple cider vinegar. The instruction is remarkably straightforward. 1 to 2 tablespoons, diluted in a full glass of water, consumed with every meal. That's it. I can already perceive the skepticism, a natural human response to such a simple proposal, and honestly, that's a good thing. Healthy skepticism is precisely what safeguards us from falling prey to baseless fads and nutritional nonsense. So, allow me to explain precisely why this works, because there is robust, compelling science underpinning its efficacy. The key active ingredient in apple cider vinegar is acetic acid. And acetic acid, this humble organic compound, performs 2 very important, distinct, and beneficial actions for your blood pressure regulation. First, and perhaps most crucially in our modern diet, it significantly improves insulin sensitivity. Recall those troublesome post-meal blood sugar spikes we just discussed, the ones that trigger an insulin surge and cause your blood vessels to constrict and tighten. Acetic acid effectively blunts that spike. It helps your body's cells respond more efficiently to insulin, meaning your pancreas doesn't have to release as much of this hormone in the first place. Less insulin circulating means less constriction of your blood vessels, which, in turn, leads to lower, more stable blood pressure. Second, and this is the aspect that genuinely ignited my excitement when I first delved into the research, acetic acid stimulates the production of nitric oxide directly within the walls of your blood vessels. Nitric oxide is nothing short of your body's natural vasodilator. It's a powerful signaling molecule that essentially tells your arteries to relax, to soften, and to open up, allowing blood to flow more freely and with less resistance. In essence, apple cider vinegar, through its acetic acid content, is helping your body accomplish naturally what an entire class of powerful blood pressure medications endeavors to do pharmacologically, but for the remarkably low cost of about $3 a bottle. Now, a very important caution must be noted. Never, under any circumstances, drink apple cider vinegar straight, undiluted. It is highly acidic and can cause significant damage. Always, without exception, dilute it generously in water, ideally at least 8 ounces for every tablespoon of vinegar. Undiluted. Vinegar can severely erode tooth enamel over time and cause irritation or even damage to your esophagus. If possible, consider using a straw to further minimize contact with your teeth. Furthermore, if you have any pre-existing history of stomach ulcers, acid reflux, or any other gastrointestinal sensitivities, it is absolutely imperative to have a detailed conversation with your doctor before incorporating apple cider vinegar into your routine. However, For the majority of individuals over 60, this represents one of the simplest, safest, and most cost-effective additions you can make to your daily regimen. Aim for one glass with breakfast, another with lunch, and a final one with dinner. Commit to this for at least 3 weeks, and then responsibly check your blood pressure numbers to observe the changes. Have you ever explored apple cider vinegar for any health purpose? I am genuinely keen to hear your experiences and insights in the comments section below, what you've heard, what you've tried, and what results, if any, have surprised you. Let me pose another question, one that delves into an often overlooked aspect of blood pressure management. Do you typically check your blood pressure in the morning? Most people, following standard recommendations, do. But here's a critical piece of the puzzle that almost nobody talks about, yet it holds profound implications for cardiovascular health. What exactly happens to your blood pressure while you are sound asleep? For a significant number of individuals over the age of 60, blood pressure unfortunately doesn't drop to the extent it naturally should during the nocturnal hours. Normally, it should gently decrease, allowing your heart and cardiovascular system a much-needed period of rest and recuperation. However, in a condition known as nocturnal hypertension, this vital physiological dip doesn't occur. Instead, your pressure either remains persistently high throughout the night, or, even more dangerously, it can actually spike while you are completely unaware, lost in sleep. While you lie there, seemingly at rest, your heart is silently working overtime, straining against elevated pressures. Your arteries are under constant, unremitting stress, and you might wake up the next morning feeling inexplicably tired, wondering why your restorative sleep hasn't truly rejuvenated you. Nocturnal hypertension is one of the most alarmingly underdiagnosed and genuinely dangerous patterns I encounter in my practice. It is strongly linked to a significantly higher risk of devastating events such as stroke and heart attack. The truly troubling aspect is this: your regular daytime blood pressure readings, taken in the morning or at the doctor's office, will not detect this silent nocturnal threat. You can have perfectly acceptable morning numbers and still be harboring a serious cardiovascular problem that is quietly unfolding every single night. So, what do humble walnuts have to do with this insidious nocturnal challenge? Quite a lot, actually, far more than you might initially imagine. The simple act of consuming about 30 grams of walnuts, which equates to roughly 14 walnut halves, approximately 30 minutes before you go to bed, has been unequivocally demonstrated in multiple robust scientific studies to meaningfully reduce nighttime blood pressure. And here's the compelling physiological reason why this works so effectively. Walnuts are an exceptionally rich plant-based source of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a crucial omega-3 fatty acid. Beyond that, they also contain melatonin, the hormone central to regulating your sleep-wake cycle, and a potent amino acid called L-arginine. Together, this powerful trio of compounds works synergistically within your body. They contribute to the relaxation of blood vessel walls, actively reduce vascular inflammation that contributes to arterial stiffness, and crucially, they support that natural, healthy nighttime pressure drop your cardiovascular system is inherently designed to make. Consider it a gentle, yet firm, signal to your entire cardiovascular system. It's time to rest, stand down, begin your nightly repair and recuperation. 30 grams, 14 halves, 30 minutes before bed. Make a note of that simple instruction. It is genuinely one of the most effortless yet consistently effective recommendations I offer my patients. Now, I want to introduce you to a remarkable flower, a deep red botanical marvel that has been revered and utilized in traditional medicine across diverse cultures in Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East for centuries. It's a testament to ancient wisdom that modern cardiology has finally, and thankfully, caught up with its powerful health benefits. I am speaking, of course, about hibiscus tea. The recommendation is straightforward: 3 cups a day. If the name hibiscus tea is new to you, you might already know it by one of its other common designations: sorrel, carcade, or simply red tea. It possesses a distinctly tart, refreshing cranberry-like flavor, and its medicinal potency is truly remarkable. Let's delve into the science that explains its efficacy. Hibiscus flowers are exceptionally rich in beneficial compounds known as anthocyanins, which are potent antioxidants responsible for its vibrant color, and various organic acids, specifically a group referred to as hibiscus acids. These compounds, when consumed, exert a fascinating effect on your blood vessels, one that is strikingly similar to the action of a widely prescribed class of pharmaceutical medications called ACE inhibitors. You may very well have heard of ACE inhibitors. They are among the most commonly prescribed blood pressure drugs globally, forming a cornerstone of hypertension management. Their primary mechanism of action involves blocking a specific enzyme in the body that causes blood vessels to constrict and narrow. The beauty of hibiscus tea is that it achieves a comparable vasodilatory effect naturally, without many of the common and often bothersome side effects associated with pharmaceutical ACE inhibitors, such as the persistent dry cough that so many patients complain about. A pivotal study published in the prestigious Journal of Nutrition provided compelling evidence, demonstrating that daily consumption of hibiscus tea reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points in adults with mildly elevated pressure. 7 points. That is a clinically significant reduction. That is precisely the kind of measurable, impactful result that compels doctors and researchers to take serious notice. 3 cups a day, whether you prefer it hot and comforting or refreshingly cold. A crucial caveat: consume it with no sugar or with very minimal sugar, because added sugar will actively counteract and undermine everything we are striving to achieve here in terms of cardiovascular health. A small spoon of honey, if absolutely necessary for taste, is perfectly acceptable. Now, an exceedingly important note of caution. If you are already taking a prescription ACE inhibitor medication, it is absolutely essential that you engage in a thorough conversation with your doctor before you begin. Regularly incorporating hibiscus tea into your diet. Combining a natural ACE inhibitor, like hibiscus, with a pharmaceutical one can potentially cause your blood pressure to drop too low, leading to symptoms like dizziness or fainting. That is emphatically not our goal. We are aiming for balance and healthy regulation, not dangerous overcorrection. However, for most individuals, this presents a beautiful, simple, and genuinely pleasurable habit to adopt. Imagine a warm, comforting cup of red tea in the morning, another refreshing one in the afternoon, and a final soothing cup in the evening. Your arteries will undoubtedly notice and thank you for it. What is your preferred tea of choice right now? Please share in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to see how many of you might already be unknowingly supporting your heart health through your daily rituals. I want you to take a moment after finishing this video, walk to your kitchen, open your cupboard, and carefully examine the cooking oils you currently have stored there. Because what I am about to reveal might well be the single most important piece of information presented in this entire discussion. And perhaps more disturbingly, it is also the truth that food manufacturers have invested a tremendous amount of money and strategic effort to ensure you do not fully comprehend. The vast majority of cooking oils that prominently line supermarket shelves, oils such as canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, and safflower oil, are astonishingly, alarmingly high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, it's vital to understand that omega-6 isn't inherently evil. Your body requires a certain amount of it for normal physiological functions. The fundamental problem, however, lies in the drastically skewed ratio. For the vast majority of human history, our ancestors consumed roughly equal, or at least balanced, amounts of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, a ratio that promoted health and reduced inflammation. Today, the average person living in industrialized societies consumes anywhere from 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. Let that staggering imbalance sink in: 15 to 20 times the amount. This extreme, disproportionate ratio is a primary driver of something every cardiologist and cardiac surgeon dreads and witnesses daily: chronic systemic inflammation. Remember that slow burning, silent inflammation in your blood vessel walls that we discussed earlier, the kind that relentlessly stiffens your arteries year after year, silently paving the way for hypertension and heart disease? Excessive omega-6 fatty acids derived from these highly refined vegetable oils are one of the primary, most potent fuels feeding that destructive fire. Every single time you cook with canola oil or soybean oil, you are, quite literally, adding fuel to the inflammatory processes within your cardiovascular system. And here's what makes this situation even more detrimental. These highly processed seed oils are inherently unstable at high cooking temperatures. When you heat them to typical cooking temperatures, they undergo a process called oxidation. They break down into harmful compounds known as aldehydes, which are directly and profoundly toxic to the delicate inner lining of your blood vessel walls. You cannot see this insidious process happening. Your food might not taste any different, but the cellular damage accumulates incrementally with every meal, silently compromising your vascular health. So, what superior alternatives should you use instead? I recommend two specific categories of fats. Firstly, extra virgin olive oil for everything that does not necessitate very high heat cooking. This includes preparing delicious salad dressings, light sautéing of vegetables, or simply drizzling generously over cooked vegetables, fish, or soups. Extra virgin olive oil is not only rich in oleocanthal, a powerful natural anti-inflammatory compound, but also abounds in beneficial monounsaturated fats that actively support healthy blood vessel function and elasticity. Decades of rigorous research unequivocally back up these benefits, without any serious scientific debate. Secondly, for higher heat cooking methods, the answer is real butter. Yes, I said butter, not margarine. Margarine, with its misleading health halo, is typically manufactured from the very same problematic vegetable oils we are diligently trying to eliminate from our diets. Opt for real, traditional butter, ideally sourced from grass-fed cows if you can find it. Used in reasonable amounts, it represents a far superior and safer choice for your cardiovascular system than the pervasive, refined seed oils most people are unknowingly cooking with every single day. I fully recognize that this advice directly contradicts what many of you were told 20 or 30 years ago when the butter is bad, use vegetable oil instead message was aggressively propagated and seemingly ubiquitous. I heard it too throughout my medical training and early career. But the science, through independent and unbiased research, has demonstrably moved on. And as a cardiac surgeon who has gazed inside thousands of human chests and witnessed the direct consequences of dietary choices, the compelling evidence now points clearly and overwhelmingly in a different, healthier direction. Check your cupboard tonight. If you discover canola or soybean oil, there's no need for immediate panic or to discard it instantly. Simply commit to not buying it again once your current supply runs out. Replace it with high-quality extra virgin olive oil and good quality butter. That one seemingly small change alone, consistently applied over 3 to 6 months, can make a measurable, significant difference in your inflammatory markers and, critically, in your blood pressure readings. I want to pause here for a moment because I believe something profoundly important needs to be reiterated. You have just absorbed information about 5 distinct yet interconnected strategies. The simple act of eating your vegetables first at every meal, the incorporation of apple cider vinegar with meals, the specific timing of walnuts before bed, the daily consumption of hibiscus tea, and the crucial replacement of harmful cooking oils with healthier alternatives. And I can already anticipate the natural inclination of some of you, the internal voice that might be thinking, this sounds far too simple. If these things genuinely worked, my own doctor would surely have told me about them. I understand that reaction completely. It's a perfectly rational and common response, one that I too experienced early in my career before years of hands-on experience taught me otherwise. But here is the profound, undeniable truth that 30 years of opening chests and meticulously repairing damaged hearts has impressed upon me. The most powerful, transformative interventions are almost never the most complicated, the most technologically advanced, or the most expensive ones. The human body, in its exquisite wisdom and design, is not seeking complexity. It is inherently designed for self-healing and restoration. What it is actively seeking, what it desperately needs, are simply the right internal and external conditions to facilitate that innate healing process. And here is what genuinely continues to shock and inspire me, even now, after all these years of clinical practice. Every single one of these 5 seemingly disparate strategies works through the exact same fundamental, overarching mechanism by reducing chronic inflammation and by improving the crucial flexibility and elasticity of your blood vessels. That's it. That's the entire game. 5 different doors, all leading directly into the same beautifully effective room of vascular health. The man I spoke about at the very beginning of this discussion, the 67-year-old gentleman whose arteries had become like concrete. After his surgery, I spent a considerable amount of time sitting with him and his wife, engaging in a long, heartfelt conversation. We thoroughly discussed all of this information, every single one of these 5 dietary and lifestyle adjustments. He made every change slowly, carefully, and most importantly, in close, collaborative conversation with his cardiologist, ensuring that each step was medically supervised and appropriate for his specific condition. 6 months later, he returned for his follow-up appointment. The results were nothing short of astonishing. His cardiologist had been able to reduce his medication regimen from 4 blood pressure medications down to 2. His inflammatory markers, crucial indicators of systemic health, had dropped significantly. His blood pressure was genuinely stable, something it hadn't been in years. He looked, and more importantly, felt, 10 years younger. And the very first thing he said to me, with a mix of wonder and a touch of understandable frustration when he walked into my office, was this: "Why didn't anyone tell me this sooner?" That question, so simple yet so piercing, stays with me, echoing in my mind. It is, in large part, precisely why I dedicate my time to creating and sharing videos like this one. Because the vital information exists, the rigorous scientific research exists, but somewhere along the convoluted path, between the meticulously controlled laboratory experiments, the bustling doctor's office, and the patient sitting, often feeling helpless, at their own kitchen table, it regrettably gets lost. You are sitting at that metaphorical kitchen table right now, absorbing this knowledge, and you now possess everything you need, not to wait until tomorrow, not to postpone until after your next appointment, but to genuinely start tonight. That is not a small thing. That, in fact, is everything. Let's bring all this transformative information together in a concise, memorable way, because I don't want you to leave this video with a fragmented list that will be forgotten by tomorrow morning. Here are the 5 actionable steps, the 5 profound changes stated clearly one more time. 1. Make it a consistent habit to eat your vegetables first at every single meal. Prioritize them before the bread, before the rice, before any other component of your plate. This simple act primes your digestive system for optimal sugar regulation. 2. Incorporate 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, always diluted in a glass of water, with each of your main meals. This powerful elixir aids in insulin sensitivity and promotes natural vasodilation. 3. Consume 30 grams of walnuts, which is approximately 14 halves, precisely 30 minutes before you go to sleep. This nightly ritual is designed to support your heart through the crucial nocturnal period and lower nighttime blood pressure. 4. Drink 3 cups of hibiscus tea every single day, whether you prefer it hot or cold. Remember to keep the sugar content minimal or non-existent, as this delightful tea acts as a natural ACE inhibitor, helping your arteries relax. 5. Critically examine and replace your inflammatory canola and soybean oils with healthier alternatives. Extra virgin olive oil for low to medium heat applications, and real, traditional butter for higher heat cooking. This change fundamentally shifts your body's inflammatory burden. That's it. 5 accessible, yet incredibly powerful things. There are no exotic supplements involved, No expensive, specialized equipment required, and absolutely nothing that necessitates a prescription. Now, here's my specific call to action for you right now, before you navigate away from this video. Pick just one, not all five, not yet. Just one strategy that feels the easiest, the most achievable for you to implement starting tonight. Perhaps it's the simple commitment to eating your vegetables first. Maybe it's the decision to order some hibiscus tea online or pick some up at your local store. Or perhaps it's the immediate action of checking that oil cupboard and resolving to replace those detrimental oils. Just one. Start there. Because truly sustainable, lasting change does not originate from attempting to do everything at once and inevitably burning out within a week. It emerges from the power of one small, deliberate decision, repeated consistently, day after day, until it transforms from a conscious effort into an invisible, ingrained habit, until it simply becomes the natural, effortless way you live your life. I have witnessed this transformation work firsthand, not in abstract theory, but in real, living people, men and women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who, despite years of struggle, decided it was absolutely not too late to empower their bodies with better tools. It is, I assure you, never too late. Your blood vessels are remarkably responsive, possessing an incredible capacity for healing and adaptation. Provide them with the right internal environment, the right nourishment, and they will, without a doubt, respond in kind. I am eager to know which of these 5 strategies you are going to commit to trying first. Please share your intentions in the comments section below. I genuinely read every single one, and if this video has provided valuable insight or offered hope for you or someone you deeply care about, I implore you to share it widely. There are countless people in your life right now who desperately need precisely this information, yet have no idea it even exists. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. Every week, I endeavor to bring you honest, evidence-based information, insights, and strategies that I profoundly wish every single one of my patients had access to, long before they ever reach the point of needing surgery. Take care of your heart. It has been working tirelessly every single minute of your life without ever asking for anything in return. It deserves this gift of better health and care. One last, crucially important thing. Everything I've shared today constitutes general information, meticulously based on current scientific research and my extensive clinical experience. It is not and should never be considered a replacement for your personal, individualized medical care. Please, under no circumstances, stop or reduce any medication your doctor has prescribed without first engaging in a direct, open conversation with them. Bring this information to your next appointment. Have the conversation. Your doctor is your invaluable partner in this journey toward optimal health, and these 5 powerful strategies work most effectively and most safely when they are integrated thoughtfully alongside proper medical supervision and guidance.